but he played that move fast. He played it fast because he wanted to put pressure on ALIREZA on the clock. ALIREZA's not moving.
But he needs to move. This is not over. This is far from over. Checks, captures, threats. There are no checks in the position. The captures don't work. You have to look for threats. There's a direct one. ALIREZA will spot this all the time. It's a one-mover, Levy. Why is he not playing? He does it finally.
He does, but I honestly think it was just a matter of like, there's no way Magnus would have blundered that. I really think that is what it was. And now we're going to get grimaces out of Magnus.
And I think it's deeper than that. I think there are massive tactics on the board. I'm looking at ideas where the Black Knight squares for the Black Knight to jump on. You could give a check on H3.
But Magnus isn't happy. I mean, he's also like, he's very distraught by this move. Will he find the best move? That was the best move. And now the queen is under attack. And you can't even take the knight.
You can't take the knight. The rook defends it. You have to fall back with the queen. Magnus getting ready to give a check on H3, and that's not any average check. The rook is ready, eyeballing that pawn on F2. That's going to be major pressure on ALIREZA's king, who's now gone into hyper bullet territory with 30 seconds.
No, this is an amazing under pressure performance from Magnus. The knight is in, and honestly,
the pawn at the center of the board is falling.
Yeah.
Levy, queen takes pawn next.
Oh, this is wraps. I mean, if ALIREZA survives this, it's truly a miracle.
And that was a head nod. Magnus knowing that this has to be close to his second win of the match. The king steps up, and ALIREZA trying to get the queens off the board to just avoid any checkmates.
But 20 seconds. It's really not even won a game on time here, but it's just amazing technique from Magnus.
It's been the story of this match so far, Levy.
Oh, G5. He's gonna mummify the bishop with G5. That is it. That is it for ALIREZA FIROUZJA.
That is beautiful geometry on the board right there. The bishop gets trapped, and he doesn't pick it up immediately. He's looking at the knight jump. There's a pawn hanging on G4. And Magnus has seen this all the way through. He sacrifices the rook, you pick that up, the knight takes it, the rook falls, and at the end of it, once the dust settles, it's Magnus Carlsen with 3 extra pawns and ALIREZA with 8 seconds on the clock.
Now he obviously will lose one of them, but it simply does not matter. I mean, there is a very small chance Magnus doesn't win this in a time scramble, but...
ALIREZA could have an hour on the clock and he's not saving this one, Levy.
No, this is just B4, B3, this is easy. This is easy. And that's it. And that is it. Magnus Carlsen wins again after the break to take a 3-1 lead in this match with a game coming up with the white pieces. It's a nightmare for ALIREZA FIROUZJA.
It absolutely is for the Falcons. First, Hikaru exits, and now ALIREZA staring at the same. He needs to make goals happen in this next one. For Magnus, it was absolute flow and rhythm by the end of it. He found all the right moves, kept the pressure, and again, the clock played a massive role. And Magnus Carlsen under pressure was just flawless.
That is great. Just great.
He needs a draw. He needs a draw in the next game, and it's match over.
And he's going to play E4. ALIREZA will play Sicilian defense, and Magnus is going to play the Alpen. This has been his strategy in every game that he has had white, and the opponent has to win. ALIREZA is going to have to play some crazy opening. I mean, I really don't know how else he's supposed to pull it off. He's had some chances, but honestly, if it wasn't for that time scramble in the third game, I mean, what are we supposed to say, right? Here comes game 5.
Game 5, and we will have that soon enough in front of us. And I completely agree with you. That loss for ALIREZA wasn't an isolated game. It was everything that happened in game 3 and beyond that being carried forward right there. He tried to keep control on the clock, but
not the esports, the World Cup, which is classical chess, right? And I think it was Peter Svidler who famously said, you have to get a completely losing position to get a chance to win. And what that means is your position's going to be very bad for a little bit. Magnus hasn't played the most testing line, but he's played in a way that's going to put a little bit of pressure. But basically, you get into a situation where, you know, the other person's just obliterating you with pawns and pieces and attacking your king, and then somehow they blunder and you survive. Now, Tanya, the very bad news here is Magnus is not participating in a vicious king attack. He's just going to play positional chess, take more space, make some good trades, and he's going to, I mean, ALIREZA's going to have to go for it.
And you know, if you're ALIREZA, you're fighting your own mind right now. You're thinking, if I can't beat this guy from a completely winning position, if I can't beat this guy in a position where I'm the one who's dominating on the clock, and even when the clock's in my control, it slips out of my hand, how am I going to solve this problem with the black pieces where everything is so healthy for white, completed development there on the right flank, pushes the bishop out, control of the center as well, and now forcing ALIREZA's hand to give up the bishop pair. There was too much tension on the D line for the bishop to move back. He would have lost the central pawn.
This is honestly a lovely turnout for somebody who has 2 bishops. ALIREZA, I've actually seen Magnus play like this as well with black. Then he brings his f6 knight back to d7 to stand in front of the queen. He activates the dark squared bishop. It targets the pawn on d4. And then it's probably going to force Magnus to play d5. We'll see if he goes for that. He's considering a couple of other options, like maybe taking in the center first, just to free up a little bit of space for his pieces. But overall, or that's also a possibility. Again, you might need to bait Magnus into a move like this, right? And make it a little bit of a scrappy game, but he has to win.
But maybe this is what he wanted. He wanted to close the center so that it becomes more of a King's Indian approach on the right flank, where if you're black, you're trying to find ways to get that F-pawn up the board, the G-pawn up the board, get the knight out of the way.
But you have played the white side of King's Indians before, and the only way to launch an attack is with a light squared bishop.
It's not there anymore.
And it's gone.
It's gone.
And Magnus knows that. And to be honest, I mean, I feel like ALIREZA definitely first of all, he knows that, but what I'm saying is, he was maybe looking for some imbalance anyway, but it's really not there. I mean, he's going to have to take some massive risks here.
And he first takes his knight out, needs to finish development. Meanwhile, because of the absence of that light squared bishop, it's going to be hard to get that f pawn up the board as he gets ready to do just that. For Magnus, the board's divided into a half. He's focusing on that left flank. He wants to get b4 going, get c pawn up the board, finish his development first. He's just making sure that ALIREZA does not land an f5. And if he can't, I'm expecting Magnus to start pushing his b pawn.
That's the way you generally meet these King's Indian attacks, and that's why black needs a light squared bishop. Even though it would be sitting on the home square, it would be covering the f5 square. So ALIREZA is trying to push that pawn in front of his rook 2 squares forward. Right now, he would likely just lose that pawn, and white would be able to hold on and defend it. And Magnus could play something crazy to stop that completely, like g4, but you don't have to do that. That's a massive weakening of your king, and generally in these structures, for anybody wondering, white is supposed to play on the left side, on the queen side, b4, c5, and black just can't deliver checkmate while the other side of the board is falling apart. Now, will we see Magnus go for that, or will you just don't do anything? Why attack? Just let ALIREZA come to me.
Exactly. You look at the pawn that's the most far advanced one in the game, and that's that d pawn for Magnus, which dictates which side he should play on. And he's just getting ready. He's setting it up. I think what Magnus did not like about immediately pushing the b pawn was the response to if ALIREZA countered that with an a pawn push 2 steps forward and asking some questions of how you were going to handle the pin on the a line if that was to happen. So first he sidesteps with the rook, setting up the idea of b4. There it is. Eventually looking at the a4 pawn, the b5 pawn, the c5 square as well coming up. You get the bishop out, you get c5 going, you take that with your rook first.
This is another nice meta approach in the King's Indian defense. I've seen it a lot in recent years. Black just gets rid of the dark squared bishop, and this is not good for Magnus. We kind of see he's like totally allowed the full plan for black, but his position is still very, very okay. He is not really under any checkmate threat. It's just a complex game. That's like the way that you describe this. For anybody wondering, you can't take this. I mean, you can take it once, but you really should not take it twice. This bishop would be pinned, then the knight would go and attack. Now you could defend it like this, and to be honest with you, you actually could even survive the worst of it. But like, why would you do this? And instead, Tanya, we got here, and then we got this move, lashing out on the dark squares. I actually really like what has happened here for ALIREZA.
He's gone a3, and it just feels like he's managed to create those chances right now on the right flank. And what decision will he go for next? I really like the idea of continuing the avalanche on the right flank. You go f4, you go g5, you start pushing the pawns, very King's Indian-esque. And it's something that ALIREZA FIROUZJA is very much familiar with right now. At least it gives something to play for in these positions. The knight will come back to f6. You'll be able to defend those pawn advances.
Just draw all the arrows. Just
loving it.
The rest of the board does not matter.
Just highlight the white king in red.
Yes, and
red
this is bad. Okay, everybody clear? Fantastic. By the way, we see f4.
It's happening.
F4 reminds me of that movie moment,
Knight on f6 as well, by the way.
Yes, there we go. But Magnus is on time. I mean, he's on time arriving on the side of the board. He's not going to let ALIREZA have a free pass. F4 is like, you're locked in here with me, and you would love to get these moves, but Magnus will get there too, and that's the way that it goes.
But it doesn't matter. Whatever Magnus is doing on the left flank, ALIREZA just has to ignore it. He has to just come all guns blazing right now on the right side. Just focus his attention on one part of the board, because there's really not anything left to play for except to win. And this is the only way to go for it.
Absolutely. And just imagine if there was a bishop here for anybody watching, like this, watching the screen right now and not just listening to the sound of our voice. I mean, just the arrow there, it shows you the power, and you just struggle to launch an attack in the King's Indian without it.
It's unbelievable. And all of this could have been so different had ALIREZA converted that game 3 advantage so close to getting that win, and then eventually getting flagged in that one. And since then, it's just been a Magnus show, I have to say. They often say in the chess world that the strongest player in the world is Magnus Carlsen, and the second strongest chess player in the world is an unwell Magnus Carlsen.
And then there's all the others.
Yes.
Right, there's the one that's playing on the live stream, and the ones that distracted, and so on. This is a good chance though. Knight to h7. It's given a question mark, but the knight is going to reroute and attack the queen. We have to remember again, the question marks or whatever these moves are, they're granted by an entity that's like 800 points stronger than us. That it's like a PhD student that's grading, school children. Like we can't listen. Knight h7 is a great practical move. Magnus can take the pawn on the left, but that pawn could not matter any less. I really have to stress it. Like, he cannot take that pawn. He has to defend against ALIREZA's attack.
Exactly, Levy. You take that pawn, and imagine you've got a heartbeat. You're a human. You're thinking about the knight jumping forward, dislodging the queen, the f-pawn moving one step forward, destroying white's king side, and which is why Magnus comes back with the bishop. If that sequence was to happen, the knight jumping forward, the queen forced away, the f-pawn moving ahead, now Magnus is ready to respond with a g-pawn push. The h-pawn is guarded by the bishop.
And that bishop move also allows the queen to go to the left, which it wasn't able to do.
At no squares.
Now queen d3, everything is in the middle. ALIREZA is going to get absolutely everything he wants in this position, and nothing might happen. That's kind of the crazy thing. He's about to push this f-pawn, like the crowning achievement of his position. Magnus responds with his own pawn push, and everything is defended. And then ALIREZA is going to have to find a second wind of attack.
And now this is a tricky position to answer because it's not so easy. Does Magnus just keep the tension? And does he say that I've got a beautiful bishop which will land on the square if you take that pawn and the defenses are there? Or does he just block down, shut down the attack with moving his own g-pawn forward? But then he would leave a target on h3 and a potential h-pawn push by ALIREZA.
Absolutely.
I would go g3 here. Just keep everything defended.
I would go g3 too. I don't even know. I can't believe there's something to think about. I mean, you're really going to allow him to take the pawn. Now, of course, white is not going to take, but black could take. I mean, yeah, the best move here, according to the machine, is, and it's all around equal. It's not that, but it was dropping the rook back somehow. Now ALIREZA can, yeah, there you go.
He's going for it.
He's getting somewhere.
It's getting somewhere. I'll tell you where it's getting. It's getting to that f4 square. Now, if you want to continue, I'm going to block you theory here, and you push that g-pawn. Rook to f4 would have landed a beautiful spot, and I think that's where it's going to land. But first, the knight needs to be taken care of. For ALIREZA Firuzja, not too many happy squares to go with the knight.
No, he might have to actually retreat and try to take. Normally here, you could jump in forward with the knight. You can sacrifice the knight, the bishop would take, then you take with the pawn, you take with the queen, the pawn on h4, but that might end up only in a draw. You might only get a repetition of moves there somehow, and he can't get away with that. He has to win.
Let's investigate that. Levy, desperate times call for desperate measures for ALIREZA Firuzja. This is what's going on in his mind. Knight takes pawn, it will be recaptured. The queen comes into the game, but is there enough firepower in this position?
Rook to f4, and I mean, you try to get something, but honestly, you don't have an attack here. You don't have the coordination. Rook f7 is going to come in, and Magnus might have to sacrifice like this, and then push his pawn. And I have to tell you, I think if anybody's going to find something like this, it's the best player in the world. He's going to avoid a checkmate and then invest in his pawn. The only way, Tanya, that he messes this up is if he sees ghosts.
Knight takes pawn will be incredibly committal here by ALIREZA. He's going to be calculating those lines. And if it wasn't the match situation as we have it, he might as well have gone for it, keeping the dynamics alive. But he very well knows that Magnus needs only a draw to advance to the finals. So he keeps the pieces on the board, does ALIREZA. Comes back, queen's coming. The queen capturing the h-pawn. Coming up next.
There's no way to defend that pawn.
That's a goner.
Queen to c3, what a move. Targeting the pawn in the middle of the board. So if ALIREZA now takes the pawn on h4 with his queen, he would be losing his own pawn in the center to white's knight. Then he would be losing the other pawn to the white queen. I don't know how that's not just lost instantly. Position looks like it's just falling apart completely for black.
Losing that base pawn on d6 would be absolute disaster for black center right here. Queen c3. What a move by Magnus. Barely took any time to make that one. He's up on the clock one more time. How many times have we said that's intense? And while the h4 pawn has "see you later" written all over it, ALIREZA cannot grab it right now.
Oh, this is brutal. This is an absolutely brutal spot here. We've said it time and time again. Minute and a half down. And if this was game 1 or 2, he would be looking for a way to, maybe hold the game and draw, but he can't. He has to win.
I'm trying to make a case for how does ALIREZA create some combative play here. I'm looking at ideas at the rook planting itself on that f4 square. I want to get to that h pawn. The queen is tied down. Perhaps ALIREZA can think about getting an assist with the rook here. Also looking at the central e4 pawn.
Yeah, what can you do? You have to bring in the rook maybe, but every move you make that isn't closer to checkmating Magnus is a move closer to him getting out of this position and punishing you for attacking him. ALIREZA is down 2 minutes and 20 seconds on the clock here.
And counting.
And counting. And he's down 2 games in the match. It ain't looking good. I mean, it is looking good for fans of Magnus Carlsen and Team Liquid, because this is almost a repeat, actually, of last year's final. Just an incredibly dominant performance.
That final really was something by Magnus Carlsen. Did not need the final set in that one. Taking down not 1, but 2 Falcons on his way to championship in Riyadh.
Honestly, it's looking like ALIREZA is almost giving up here. Like he retreated. He's trying to take on h4. He goes rook a2. But yeah, the threat is obviously queen takes pawn and queen takes, but okay.
All right, Magnus coming for the f3 pawn. And now is this the moment that you can take that pawn on h4. f2 is tender, so at least not giving Magnus the opportunity to grab that d6 base pawn right there.
Yeah, but actually, ALIREZA with 50 seconds on the clock.
Let's just show that, Levy. Let's just look at that. Queen takes pawn. You can't take on d6. f2 is a weak spot.
Yep. Actually,
we're seeing it played.
Yes, we're seeing it being played. And actually, I think Magnus is realizing there might be this move
on the board. ALIREZA sneaking his way back into this one, and suddenly White's king is really exposed. Queen f2, a big threat on the board.
The only way to defend this is to go here, which is findable. I mean, that's very findable. You just basically hide behind your bishop. It's on the board.
Magnus plays it. ALIREZA, can he keep the momentum in this position? The queen and rook. Now 3 is the magical number when we speak of an attack. Where is the third piece coming in from?
I mean, this is so difficult here. Let's go back to the live board, because he found that maneuver that I literally just drew. He gets the queen all the way back. He attacks the knight, which doesn't have an easy move here. The rook is a target. The queen's a little bit of a target. Is he actually going to pull this off with 27 seconds on the clock?
That is the problem. That is always the problem with ALIREZA FIROUZJA. We were talking about the third attacker. One of the 2 knights need to join the party, need to assist the rook and queen for ALIREZA. The path via f6, h5, or maybe g5. Just get one of those knights going. But where is the time? 27 seconds to deliver checkmate to the world number 1.
I have to tell you, like, if there was ever a chance to come back, it would be right now, because he might feel the pressure is a little bit off. But 20 seconds.
Magnus ready to line up with queen h4. He stops it.
And that wasn't the best move. You had to sacrifice that pawn.
Comes back, does Magnus Carlsen. The knight does move forward. Eyeing that h5 square. He needs to get the black knight closer to the white king.
Queen f1. Now you can't move that knight.
That's
13,
stuck.
12.
Knight h6 played. ALIREZA desperate to find an inroad right there. But the rook pin, he's setting up a king. Sidestep to defend the rook to free up the knight.
But that's all going to take 2 seconds, and then he has 10 seconds for the remainder of this game.
And guess what? Magnus has enough time to calculate all of that and some more with 2.5 minutes on the clock. ALIREZA FIROUZJA has to win.
Magnus could even move the rook forward 1 square. He could consider sacrificing it for defensive measures. You give away the rook, you take queen takes knight attacking the king, but he doesn't even have to do that. He can just kind of retreat the rook and go and play defense.
ALIREZA is just thinking right now, what can I pre-move in this position? Magnus steps up, he defends the g5 pawn. ALIREZA goes back to defend it. The king does go into that trade. Magnus's knight is coming in with a check. Who's attacking who? It looks like it's white that's going to get to the black king.
Yeah.
Gives a check. The queen's coming in.
Queen f8 is like, it's mate, basically.
Checkmate in one.
Yep,
Is it dead? And that's it.
And he resigns.
Magnus Carlsen goes through. It will be Team Liquid in the finals for a second time in a row. What a match, what a dominating performance this was. Game 3 is where it came down to ALIREZA FIROUZJA with his shot, but did not seize it. And after that, a Magnus Carlsen show, keeping it on the clock, keeping it on the board. And at the end, the world number 1 will play, will defend his championship in the final tomorrow. It will be Magnus Carlsen versus Denis Lazovic.
Just a great performance from Magnus. A lot of imbalanced games. And, well, what can we say? This was very nice. Getting in there with the rook, trading down, that's how things ultimately concluded. I think we're going to send it to the stage for an interview.
Ladies and gentlemen, as the key is handed over, please put your hands together one more time for ALIREZA FIROUZJA. Magnus, you yourself said that you didn't feel like you were at your best up to this point in this tournament, yet you won dominantly. How did you feel about your performance now?
I think this was by far my best performance so far in the tournament. I think it was a very, very good match. And, you know, last year I felt that I was kind of playing better and pressing him on time as well. Today I pretty quickly realized that my best chance was to, you know, press him on time in a lot of these situations, and fortunately, yeah, I managed to work out. Third game obviously was crucial. He spent a little bit too much time there, and then I think when he had 45 seconds left or so, I kind of just started retreating my pieces, and I was basically going to set up this construction that he cannot break. And I was thinking that if I can just keep this going for, I don't know, number of moves, then like I have 3 minutes against his 45 seconds, then we should be fine. And then I missed this idea he had of activating his pieces, and it was really kind of harrowing, where it felt as though I might lose quickly, but I also kind of wanted to make sure he didn't force a draw, you know, so, because I didn't know if I was going to get a better chance to kind of win on time. And yeah, fortunately I managed to escape that one and get the victory in time there. And yeah, the last two games were like absolute bloodbaths as well, but at that point, at least I knew that I had some, you know, money in the bank, so I could afford to slip up once and still be okay. But I'm very happy with the way that I managed to fight in those last two games as well, because they were both really difficult. Like, he just never goes down without a fight.
Okay, Magnus, and last thing, of course, a lot of people, even your opponents, look at you as the GOAT in the world of chess. But recently, some people have tried to push a narrative that maybe because of recent events, that maybe you weren't all the way in your best form. Yet here at the Esports World Cup, you're back in grand finals. Do you feel like you proved anything to anyone, or at least to yourself?
Well, I often reach the final even if I'm not in my best form.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, the best chess player on planet Earth, Magnus Carlsen. You can go ahead and crush your opponent, Steve, brother.
And it is time for the final key crush of the day, as Magnus Carlsen himself steps to the crusher to crush another opponent's dreams, as he is used to in a remake of last year's grand finals. He won once again, and he qualifies for tomorrow's grand finals for a chance for a back-to-back title. The crusher is ready, and we are ready to hear this key being popped. Let's hear it. Simple efficient, just like his play. Magnus, once again, congratulations. One last question for you. You've got Denis Lazovic tomorrow in finals. And although he said that he was looking forward to hopefully play ALIREZA and not you, he says that he feels like he could do it and the threat is okay for him. What do you have to answer to that?
Yeah, we played in the semifinal in the Speed Chess Championship, and he's really good. I think by this point, anyone who kind of underestimates him just is in for a little bit of a surprise. So he has earned his right to be here, and it's really no accident. So it's a little bit of a different opponent. Like he just doesn't beat himself. Like he plays very solid, like very solid positional chess, and doesn't really place his pieces on bad squares. So we'll see. I'm very happy to be in the final, but it's going to be very tough.
Well, there we go. New prodigy against absolute titan. This is the name of tomorrow's grand final. Please, once again, give it up for Magnus Carlsen.
Scrolling is cringe. Chess is fun. Get all the dopamine of looking at your screen and none of the guilt when you're improving your mind with chess. Want to improve at your own pace? Take a few seconds to complete a puzzle and learn something new. Don't be cringe. Play chess. There's something for everyone at chess.com. Learn, play, and have fun.
As ALIREZA FIROUZJA falls, so does the hopes and dreams of the Falcons organization having a representation in grand finals. It is now officially Denis Lazovic versus Magnus Carlsen, AGAL versus Team Liquid. But what a fight. ALIREZA FIROUZJA ended up putting up second place last year. This time he will have to settle for third or fourth place depending on how the matchup against Hikaru ends up unfolding. But it goes 5 games. Magnus wins 3 of them, 2 to the draw. Nemo, it was still a battle to the death.
Absolutely. It's always a battle to the death with ALIREZA, as Magnus himself stated. Even though he was better in the last 2 games, he did get under a little bit of pressure because ALIREZA does not go down without a fight.
Yeah, those first 2 games, both players played 99% accuracy. I thought we'd be here all night, but then things opened up and you heard Magnus say it. It was his plan to put his opponent under duress on the clock, and ultimately, that's what proved to be the difference today.
Absolutely, even including one of the games which he took a disadvantageous position purely for the fact that he wanted to play time. One of the things that impressed me, Nemo, is after watching Magnus, he just has this ability to quickly make decisions. Now, I understand that's such a broad term, right? But it's like, you look at ALIREZA and at times having to think for 10, 20, sometimes 30 seconds, right? Whereas you look on the side of Magnus, he's constantly gaining time on his opponent because he's okay with making a decision, making a play, even if it's not necessarily the most optimal because he's looking at the future.
For sure. One of the great things about Magnus Carlsen is how solid his game theory is. He plays a lot of other games. He's also really good at poker and golf and, all the other things Magnus Carlsen is great at. But I think the main thing here is that he picks up on how he should approach the matchup, basically from the start. He goes in, he notices that ALIREZA is, playing a little slow, maybe overthinking things a little bit. But Magnus does play extremely solid chess. And on top of that, if he puts up the speed, it's a disaster.
Magnus thought this was his best chance. You can see the king is going to toggle back and forth. He's got a chance to take the draw, but he spots the clock and notice ALIREZA has 16 seconds left. And here he gives a big think after queen back to e3. What does he do? Does he go back to h2? No, he goes to f1. He knows in his heart of hearts he's worse. His king's in trouble, but he basically challenges ALIREZA to win with 16 seconds. The riverboat gamble works off and Magnus wins game 3.
Absolutely. I mean, this is one of those situations where you just see Magnus Carlsen being an absolute genius at games, right? It's not just about winning on the position. He understands that ALIREZA has so little time in this position. He can take this opportunity and perhaps even turn it into a win.
Yeah, and just to explain it even further, Mike, it's one of those situations where he did in fact take a position that wasn't necessarily the best per se, but it made sense in the overall scheme at the time.
And I just talked to one of the grandmasters who's left the competition off camera here, and he said that if ALIREZA had that position to play, but it began as a bullet game, he can maybe play it. But the transition from rapid to bullet is hard to do in-game, and sure enough, ALIREZA didn't have enough time to convert.
Well, that was his first win. Then we move on to his second. It was game 4, taking the win ultimately. We talk about another move, an ultimate decision that ended up putting Magnus in the driver's seat.
Yeah, actually, it was the opposite of game 3. In game 3, Magnus snatched that double C pawn, allowed ALIREZA to invade on the first rank. In game 4, it was the opposite, because here ALIREZA snatched a pawn, Magnus invades, and actually, this really cool move, Queen A1 check can be defended by Rook D1. He could have played Knight to E2 check, deflecting either the Knight or the Rook, and then Queen to A1. Now, of course, the King could sidestep to F1. He ended up winning the game anyway, but Knight E2, this double deflection is worth pointing out that Magnus could have played.
Definitely a really, really fun move that he could have played. I think this is one of those situations where, once again, it's not just, we talked today so much about how good Magnus is at end games and converting these, you know, slightly better positions into winning, but he can also just find tactics if he wants to. He didn't feel the need, but, you know, he still went on to win the game.
That's right. It wasn't needed to win. He got it done a little bit more of a prosaic way, but you can't argue with perfection.
That's right. Well, we had a great day of competition. Crushed 6 keys. There's only 2 keys remaining as we reminisce of the actions that ended up unfolding. We take a look at the brackets, and man, my goodness. We started with 8 very talented players, the best in the world, if you will. We started with 22 in our competition. This was the absolute best. And by the way, just making it 2 quarterfinals meant you earned $75,000, but winning one more matchup going to semifinals up the prize pool to $100,000. As we take a look at the quarterfinals, Nemo, was there a big surprise to you? Did everything work out as it should?
You know, funnily enough, Magnus Carlsen and Denis Lazovic were both my picks earlier today. You know, I didn't just pick 2 names that I had. I did pick the best player ever, as well as Denis, who I feel like has been on fire. I mean, I think there was nothing overly surprising. Perhaps the score between Denis and Hikaru.
Yeah, and I made a joke earlier in the week that the GM of the year should be the AGAL GM.
That's right.
GM. And it's looking, we had him in an interview before, and it's looking like that could be the case with Denis Lazovic. We can't call him a dark horse at this point. He just keeps making semifinals and finals, and it's going to be a fascinating matchup tomorrow.
Denis Lazovic absolutely on fire today. He started the day crushing Hikaru as well. But once we reached semifinals, things took a turn for the worst, at least for the Falcons and some other competitors. But even going back to Hans Niemann, absolutely incredible throughout the groups, right? But he ends up falling shorter than he wanted, ultimately getting his key absolutely decimated. As the quarterfinals would roll on, though, Magnus would get the final nail in the coffin, taking down Nihal Sarin, taking him out of the competition, pushing us into semifinals. And that's where Denis Lazovic came back into the fold, taking down Hikaru, a man that he had beat just earlier in the Speed Chess Championship. And then ultimately, ALIREZA FIROUZJA falling as Magnus Carlsen secures his spot into the grand finals, doing so in great fashion, winning 3 out of the 5 games. Once again, we take a look at our semifinals and how they ended up unfolding. You know, the Hikaru drop for Denis Lazovic, in my opinion, was absolutely massive. I did favor Denis in this matchup. For him to push forward his first EWC, only 19 years old, come on, that's a great story.
It's absolutely, I mean, he has been in 2 different semifinals this year, Speed Chess Championships, as well as the Chess.com Open. And both times he has played Magnus Carlsen. Unfortunately, he hasn't beaten Magnus Carlsen yet, but we'll see if tomorrow is maybe the day it all changes.
And that semifinals was no fluke. Even ALIREZA had some positions where he could safely say he was better than Magnus. I can't name a Hikaru position where he was better than Denis today. If there's somebody out there that finds one, let me know.
That's right. Well, hey, it is, in fact, grand finals. Grand finals are set. So is 3rd and 4th place matchup. We're going to have to wait until tomorrow for that to happen. But it's been wonderful here at the Esports World Cup, and the coverage has been sensational. Not only live, but also when it comes to Amazon Prime. They've got this great series called Level Up Season 2.
A lot of people are haunted by their past. I'm inspired by it.
They're not just playing for themselves, they're really playing for their entire family.
They have defeated their demons! They have crushed the curse!
Play
imagine an entire city being built to supercharge it. Kadir City, powered by play.
In week 6 of EWC here in 2026, it's been incredible. It really has been. And I must say, for the club championship race, we've been following it closely because so much money is on the line. $7 million for first place. And at this point, AGAL currently have it on lock. The first official club to surpass 4,000 points, currently sitting at 4,100, and they owe a lot of that to Denis Lazovic, who officially secures his spot into the grand finals. He hasn't earned 1,000 yet, Mike, but he's at least at 750.
Right, he could bag 250 more points tomorrow if he manages to do the nearly unthinkable and beat Magnus Carlsen. Also, importantly, you can see the Falcons are in second place there, and both of their players lost today. So really, this was the perfect outcome for AGAL in the penultimate week of EWC.
Yeah, for sure, and Falcons losing both of their members now, they get third and fourth, right? That only helps AGAL as a whole.
I mean, I think AGAL's pick of Denis Lazovic is absolutely genius. They just knew. Somebody did the research. They were like, oh yeah, he can go far.
And he is going far, potentially all the way. It could be historic if he takes down Magnus Carlsen. But like I said, EWC is a great product. We are here talking heads on the desk, but you can also get involved with the voting and a slew of other things. Check out EWC Play.
He can come in here and play my game. He knows nothing but go!
Tyler 1, you're done.
EWC Play, great product. Get involved. Check it out if you haven't already. Go to esportsworldcup.com. There's so much for you to do for Esports World Cup, including maybe even voting on the grand finals tomorrow, because it's going to be an exciting one. Like we said, AGAL versus Team Liquid. Magnus Carlsen versus Denis Lazovic, who's been absolutely sensational. First EWC 19, and here he is finding himself with the potential opportunity to earn $250,000. Absolutely insane. And by the way, Esports Nations Cup also underway. Scan the QR code to get your tickets over in Riyadh. It's going to be a fun time and incredibly unique compared to the club focus that we have here at the Esports World Cup. Grand finals. We didn't see it come. Well, Magnus Carlsen, we expected maybe to be a grand finals, but Denis Lazovic being the biggest surprise. I don't know. What are we expecting tomorrow? Any upsets, or do you think it's going to be good either way?
I'm going to deflect a little bit. I'm going to turn it over to Nemo, who plays some poker. So, Magnus Carlsen's EV, his expected value, higher or lower than 80% tomorrow?
Ooh, I think it's going to be, that's a really good one.
Is 80 a good number?
80 is the perfect number. I mean, I think it's like right around 80, maybe 75. But that being said, Magnus Carlsen had a really funny comment on his interview. He was like, yeah, I didn't play the best, but you know, even when I don't play the best, I usually make the finals. And I thought that was amazing.
What a goated statement, but he's the GOAT for a reason, and he's going to be playing tomorrow to lift the trophy against Denis Lazovic. What a day we had, and only one more day remains for EWC 2026 chess competition. We need to send it to the stage to close out the day.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, the playoffs phase is officially over as we are down to our two finalists, Magnus Carlsen, and on the other side, Damascus, please hype up my young dog, only 19 years of age.
19 years of age, goes all the way to grand finals, takes Hikaru down on the way, and even the only player who rehearsed the trophy lift ceremony, that guy has got to win tomorrow, man.
Come on, man. Lazovic, only 19 years old, but has that dog in him, point blank, period. And to defeat Hikaru Nakamura, he did do this as well at the Speed Chess Championships, but to do it here on this stage as well, just to validate it, definitely says a whole lot. Tomorrow will be one for the history books.
Absolutely incredible day coming up tomorrow with the grand finals. Of course, the third place match as well. An excellent day of chess awaits us tomorrow. But before we close the day today, let's go and take a look at everything that happened today at Esports World Cup 2026.
everyone, and welcome to the EWC Spotlight. Get it? Because we started with the Spotlight.
Did you do that?
Do you understand that? I did. I cued that.
That timing was incredible. Well
right?
done.
Yeah. Like, usually there's, someone with a light switch or something. It's under my chair. So if I just do one of these, everything
Yeah,
fits.
don't do it again.
I was a little concerned. I know, right? But, I forgot. We're doing a show. Yes, it's the EWC Spotlight. We're going to cover everything that you've seen so far. I've got Johnny Boy and Glitter Explosion joining me today. Johnny Boy, do you have your own theme song whenever you walk out onto the stage?
I wish I did. I don't think so. I've never heard one before, so I'm gonna safely say no on that.
Could you select your own theme song?
I'd have to think about that, but it would be boring. Because I am quite boring, so it wouldn't be that exciting.
Show him up. If he's going to be boring, what would your theme song be?
Bad Bunny.
Bad Bunny? Mm-hmm. What song from Bad?
Pick any.
Just literally any.
And I'm golden.
The entire Super Bowl playlist.
Yes.
It's just you coming out. I love that.
The whole length of it, though. You have to wait, and that's
right. Yeah, it's I mission. Mine is Colors by Flow, and there is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But we got to talk about what we've seen so far over at the STC Arena. We've had a little bit of Rocket League, and oh boy, there were some surprises. Surprises.
You got there, yeah. There are plenty of surprises. I mean, most surprising, what we've just seen. The draw, the playoffs have been drawn, and they're all same region quarterfinals, so there's no cross-region quarterfinals at all. 2 EU versus EU, 1 MENA versus MENA, 1 NA versus NA. I'm just looking at this thinking, how have we avoided even one cross-region matchup? But that's the way it is.
Is that allowed?
Apparently it is.
Wow.
It's in the rules.
It's going to be spicy.
It is, well,
Scriptwriters backstage.
It's matches we've seen before, but then it's also a chance to do it on LAN because you don't get those matches on LAN that often. So it is a bit different. We get to see, are they the really the best team in the region? Because if you can beat the team online, that's one thing, but to do it on LAN, of course, that's where you really need to prove your point.
I love that. But walk us through how we got to the draw, because of course we did get to see a little bit of overtime.
Yes, yeah, lots of overtimes, lots of close matches, a lot of close games, and even the teams that are getting eliminated, it's not all bad. So I'm thinking NRG had a big regain today. They started the tournament with the worst possible result they could have, and had a bit of a regain before being eliminated. So you've got to take the good with the bad if you're an NRG fan. I think that's the story for a lot of the teams at EWC.
Okay, and then circling back to the draw show for a second, what did you think about the technique when selecting the balls, where we had like a little bit of like a finger, kind of like curl it up? But I don't know, how would you rate that technique?
I don't hate it. You kind of have to go off vibes. You have to, go for whichever ball you're feeling, really. And clearly, they were feeling regional matchups.
What would be the alternative methods if we're looking to?
You gotta like dunk in like you're digging for the king size candy bar in like the Halloween bag, where you just go in, you have to feel it. There's none of this like, ooh, maybe this one, ooh, maybe this one. It's a vibe.
Yeah.
Claw hand style.
Claw hand style.
Yeah. Also with 4 options, I mean, it didn't really seem like it was doing much when we're mixing them. We're not really mixing them, are we? We're just spinning them around.
I don't know if I'm ready to take any type of like tech advice, theme song advice, or anything from Johnny Boy. So Glitter, I'm just gonna come to you as we talk about our next stage over at the Kadia City Grid. We had some PUBG Mobile.
Sure did. We're 4 matches into the finals, and just beginning, really. There's still many games left in the competition, but when it comes to the storylines that we're really paying attention to, at the top right now, we've got Arena. Then CC side, we're also paying attention to Vitality and Aurora Gaming. 4th for Aurora, 6th for Vitality. But I feel like that isn't painting an accurate picture, right? Because only 4 matches in out of 18, that's nothing. So we still have a lot of action left to go.
Excited to see what happens there next. But moving on over at the Lenovo Legion, the Alliance Vault stage, we got a little bit of chess going on, and some surprising faces are maybe on the way out.
I mean, yeah, I'm surprised. I think chess, from the games that are currently happening, that's the one that I'm second most familiar with after Rocket League. And I was thinking, looking at this, well, it's got to be Magnus versus Hikaru in the final, right? No, Hikaru eliminated, which I'm very surprised to see. I'm thinking, I'll go along and catch that, match when it happens, and now it's not going to happen.
You thought you were going to get what you were looking for, but it was AGAL. It was GM Dennis, who I feel like it qualifies a little bit as an upset with picking out GM Hikaru, because I think a lot of people were planning on Hikaru being in the top after the performance last year. Still a top 4 for Falcons, so it's still a really good performance. But AGAL, top of the leaderboard in CC, now they're actually getting pretty far in chess.
Yeah, I think that I have it in my notes here that AGAL have become the first club to break 4,000 club championship points so far.
That tracks.
Hello?
That tracks.
Hello?
So, what's that done for their chances now to just straight up win?
It's tough. It's going to be really tough because Falcons still have really good chance. Obviously, they still have ALIREZA, so there could be some potential points on the board that they've already secured at least top 4 points minimum. And then, of course, it depends on how they do in Rocket League over with you guys, because that could be another big chunk of points coming their way. And there's still an entire week of competition left. They've got a decent amount of teams playing, so.
Yeah, I think as of this moment, as we're speaking, AGAL is currently 500 points ahead of Falcons. At the moment, of course, anything could happen. But yeah, very interesting. But again, let's go ahead and move on to our final stage, the Lenovo Legion Gauntlet stage, where we had some Rainbow Six Siege. And you heard the drums.
Yeah.
You heard the people going crazy, because there's something to get hyped for.
And if you're wondering who was going crazy, it was Furia, okay? Because they were able to win in a decider match against Dark Zero, which is actually a really big deal because DZ was trying to get 2 S-tier event wins back-to-back. That dream has been crushed. Also, North America out of the discussion. Furia getting one of those spots in the finals, the only South American org left. I mean, this is really big.
Yeah, I'm excited to see where everything goes and to see if we get maybe any kazoos brought into the audience.
They look like they've got it sorted. The Furia fans are going absolutely crazy when they're walking past. It's interesting though. I think this is actually, for me, one of the coolest things about Esports World Cup is earlier on we saw Furia get eliminated in Rocket League. Their fans, obviously very, very big support over there as well. No problem. They just nip next door, get to watch another game, get to watch a win. So you're much more likely to see success as a fan, but also failure. More chance for both. So I think this is really cool. You can go between the two, go between 3, 4 even at the same time.
Yeah. I just want to see a Vuvuzela brought into the audience, okay?
Yeah.
That's what they're called, the ones that kind of like have that curve?
Yeah, or even a didgeridoo.
That's a dangerous suggestion, the Vuvuzela. I think we got to be careful with that. That could be just a constant drone that we are just going to have in our lives during the show days.
I feel like we can make that sacrifice.
Putting out the call.
Putting out the call for Vuvuzelas in the audience. But okay, we talked a little bit about club championship points and what that means for AGAL and Falcons at the moment. But Glitter, are there any other teams that are potentially looking like they can make a run to some of these higher standings?
And I'm actually pretty excited about the team that I'm about to say, because one of those teams is absolutely Vitality. They are a favorite out of PUBG Mobile. They've put themselves in a decent spot heading into the rest of the matches, and they feel like they could potentially also do well in Rocket League, right?
Yeah.
So this could be a huge week for Vitality.
I like their chances of winning, but, and you're not going to like this, they are up against their nemesis in the quarterfinal. That's Carmine Corp, who have a winning record against them. Now, Vitality have beaten them, but KC have got a winning record overall, so it's a tough quarterfinal. If they get past that, they can absolutely win the whole thing.
You're messing with my ultimate plan right now.
Ultimate plan. Fallen, crumbled to shambles, but that basically brings us to the end of the EWC Spotlight. Johnny Boy, before I release you and let you go, is there anything that you'd like to say about what you've seen so far?
I would just say that if you are here at EWC, if you're walking around the venue, be sure to check out the other games, because I'm a Rocket League guy. I don't know much about the other games, but it's just amazing to go in and watch the competition, see the action, and it's all happening at the same time. So go around, if you're online, go around all the different streams, check everything out, and then you can get the recap right here with you guys every single day.
Look at that, he's already plugging back in the show.
Amazing.
Should we bring him back? Should we keep him?
Yeah.
Okay,
Why
we'll
not?
consider it. We'll consider it. I don't know.
Well, we do have a long list.
We do. You know, we do. Oh, is he still listening? Everyone, thank you so much for watching the EWC Spotlight, and we will see you all next time for more games. Don't tell him. Don't just shh.
No, not this time.
No, okay. That's okay. We can't tell him that.
Nice,